So my story this year is one that I'm very familiar with. I'm a father. I have 3 daughters. I know all about it. Some of you might even be able to guess. That's right, Barbie. I know you're probably saying it's a stretch. How is Barbie relevant to our industry? But if you hang with me, I promise there's some nice lessons in here for us about how to take giant steps higher. So let's start at the beginning for Mattel, right? So they started as a company that made picture frames, and they used the scraps to create dollhouse furniture. And then they started to expand into toys. Example, remember the Magic 8-Ball? Shaking that around, right? That was one of their great toys. And then in 1959, they launched Barbie. And it was the #1 toy that year. #1. They sold 350,000 dolls for Christmas. And they knew they were onto something. So they decided to expand. So in 1961, they introduced Ken. Great success. Hard to believe, but great success. Great ad, huh? Gotta love that outfit. So they then said, let's go expand into other areas, and they came out with accessories like Barbie's new dream house. Hard to believe they called it new, right? It's so old. But they said, hey, let's keep going. Another example, 1965, they capitalized on the space race and all that excitement, and they launched Astronaut Barbie. And over the next 50 years, they extended that platform into new markets, new geographies, new product segments, and they haven't stopped. So let's go through to the modern day. Well, that really started for Barbie in 2014, when Barbie became an Instagram influencer. And she has millions of followers today. And they went into gaming, or games, online games, not gambling, that's here. Although I'd like to see Barbie, the Barbie gaming game. They got into streaming video, and most famously, of course, they got into movies, right? So they took that platform, that brand that they created back in 1959, and expanded. Now, when you look at the financials, they've grown from $14 million to over $5 billion last year. And Barbie generates almost 1/3 of that revenue. But what's really fascinating is if you click down, their platform extensions are actually generating 60% of that revenue. And then if you go down even further and you say, what's it going to do for them in the future? Well, one, it's going to grow their platform extension revenue. But it gets really interesting when you look at the operating margin. Mattel's operating margin is less than 10%. But if you look at the new revenue streams that they're creating, the operating margin is over 60%. Why? Because they have a platform. As they're going into new markets, they're not recreating the wheel, coming up with new products, new processes, new brands. They're taking what works and bringing it and applying it to a new market. Really, really incredible. So another thing that I think about is the journey that they went on, right? So this is what they launched in 1959. Here's where they are today. So back in 1959, how many people at Mattel said, you know, this is great. I'm doing this because someday I want to go and have Barbie be an Instagram influencer, right? The internet wasn't even a concept, right? So let's take the same thing with us. If you were, I think it was 18 years ago, the first ConneXions, it was like 30 people in the Petaluma office, right? And everyone's thinking, oh God, we're debating about, do I need to get into fiber? You know, is DSL enough? What about copper? Was anyone thinking, boy, 20 years from now, I'm going to be worried about cloud solutions and connected cameras and social media monitoring and 10 gig capable networks? No. But that's the beauty of a platform. Because if you have a platform, it gives you the flexibility to react quickly, and when you have opportunities, you don't have to redo your entire operational process. You can go after it, just like Mattel did when they created the Barbie platform. Now, some of you may be saying, oh, I'm sure still not relevant to our industry. Well, that's because you haven't seen the latest innovation. This is the Barbie connected dream house. They're coming into our industry. Can you believe it? And by the way, I can tell you, Shane Elaniak and the product team, they're trying to make a Gigaspire that's that small. I wish them luck. I really, really do. But here's the other interesting thing is, do you know where they got the idea? Everyone remember this? It's Jerry D's Connected Dream House.